We're back on the record this morning with Boston City Council President Ruthie Louis-Jeune. So you are the daughter, as we mentioned, of Haitian immigrants. In Boston last week, there was a rally. You attended this rally in support of the Haitian community. This after former President Donald Trump and his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, spread lies about the Haitian immigrants eating pets in Ohio. Should we be hearing more outcry about this?
It is extremely exhausting and frustrating that we need to be allocating our energy. We have a housing crisis. We need to make sure that our schools are better. That I need to be allocating my energy to addressing blatant, racist, xenophobic lies. It's horrific. And that is coming from a former president and from a sitting U.S. senator is beyond. It's beyond the pale. And so we had a rally a few days ago. So many community leaders over at IFSI and Mattapan helped organize, MLRI, MIRA Coalition, so many people standing in solidarity. And nearly a majority of the council, my colleagues, so I want to thank all of them, Councilor Weber, Worrell, all of them, they were there, Fitzgerald were there to support and stand in solidarity with the Haitian community, the third largest in the entire country here in Boston, and the second largest per capita.
Do you feel like there's been enough pushback from elected officials when they hear these types of comments? Does the Haitian community feel as though there's been enough people standing up and pushing back?
Sometimes I do think people want to see and hear more, but I know last Friday I was in D.C. for a convening of city council presidents. At the very same time, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley was holding a press conference with the Haiti caucus, and I joined the press conference, and we spoke and we denounced the actions and the words of Trump and Vance and how it's harmful. And we encouraged people to vote in Florida, where there's a significant Haitian population, in Georgia. And so we are responding. As I said at the rally, Senator Miranda were there, elected officials, their staff from different offices. Councilor Coletta Zapata, who's in East Boston, doesn't have a Haitian population, but still was there. Councilor Fernand Jennison. So many people were there in support of the Haitian community. And so yesterday it was the Irish need not apply. It was the Chinese Exclusion Act. Today it's the Haitians, and we stand in solidarity. So it was really heartwarming to see it.
Before we say thank you and adios, I'd like to touch on a couple things. We're in the home stretch of the presidential race, and Donald Trump is running for president. Do you think Donald Trump will win? Do you think Donald Trump will win? Do you think Kamala Harris will win? My
work and my hope is on Kamala Harris. I was in Florida last weekend as well for my great aunt's 90th birthday, but I took the time to talk to voters in Orlando and made sure that they had a plan to vote and make sure that they were voting for Harris. Waltz talked to some really great voters. I think that we have the moment and we have the momentum to win this and to make sure that democracy wins, to make sure that decency wins, to make sure that multiculturalism wins.
Well, let me ask you something. As an elected official, as a Haitian American, what does having a Harris victory, what does that mean for you?
Well, a Harris victory means that, we are, our Constitution talks in its preamble about creating a more perfect union. And that's what we are in. We're in a project of democracy here. As a daughter of Haitian American immigrants, as a black woman, as someone who grew up in Mattapan and Hyde Park, and I've seen Boston at its best and at its worst, I still remain hopeful. And Kamala Harris, I may not agree on every policy that she has, but I'm hopeful that we can advocate alongside her, against her, and with her as we do this work of creating a more perfect union.
Council President, it's great to have you with us.
Thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure to have you in the chair. Our thanks again to Ruthie Louis-Jeune being in the chair this morning. Sunday Roundtable is next. Giant spiders seen on Beacon Hill. Boy, those could be as big as 3 inches, by the way. And we got a whole lot of web of issues to talk about. We'll start spinning. All right, I'll stop when we come back.